let's start with question 1. All right, so this school wants to make some tiles and stuff, or cover the ground with the tiles. And we want to find out how many square tiles are needed to cover this 40 by 72 thing. Okay. So first of all, let's just pretend this is drawn to scale. We have 40 and 72, and we just want to see how many squares can fit in there. Squares of the largest possible size. So this just means that we want to find the greatest common factor of 40 and 72, and that will be 8. So 8 will be the biggest number divisible by both 40 and 72, and that will create the largest square. So to find how many 8 by 8 squares can fit in this, we divide 40 by 8 for 5, and we also divide 72 by 8 to get 9. So basically, this play area can fit 5. That is not drawn to scale. 5 squares like this, and then 9 squares like that. So basically, there are 9 times 5, or 45 total squares needed to cover this area. Question 2, we have a set of 4 positive integers, and we know that the mean is 5. So that just means that the sum of all of these, of every number in this set, will be 4 times 5, since there are 4 numbers. So all of these numbers, let's just call this A, B, C, and D. A plus B plus C plus D will add up to 20. And we also know that the median is 4. That just means that these two, B and C, when you add them together, divided by 2, that will be equal to 4. This can be simplified to B plus C is equal to 8. And we also know that there is a mode of 2. So 2, the number 2 will appear more than once. So now we want to find out how many times 2 appears in this thing. So if 2 appears 3 times or 4 times, that's just not possible, because then the median will be 2 and not 4. So that means that 2 only appears 2 times. So A is equal to B is equal to 2. Now that we know that, we can find out what C is. We can find out that 2 plus C is equal to 8, and C is 6. And now, since we also know the sum of all of these numbers, we know that 2 plus 2 plus 6 plus D will be the biggest number, will equal to 20. So that means D is equal to 10. And that is the greatest integer in the set. So for question 3, you have a cookie that's missing or eaten. And the question states that Chris always tells the truth. and Pat always lies. So they give us a few conditions. First of all, everyone says that they know who ate the cookie. Who ate cookie. And then Sam says that it was either Pat, Chris, or Lou that ate the cookie. And then Lou says that he or she did not eat the cookie. No cookie. But then Pat says that Sam is lying. And then Chris says that Pat is the only liar. So since we know that Chris always tells the truth, then that means that Pat is lying. So Pat is lying. And if Pat is lying, then that means that Sam is telling the truth. So that means P, C, or L ate the cookie. Now, there also is this condition where everyone says that they know who ate the cookie. But since Pat is lying, that means that he doesn't know who ate the cookie. So if he doesn't know who ate the cookie, then that means he could not have eaten the cookie. And then Lou is not lying since Chris says that only Pat is lying. So that means Lou did not eat the cookie, and that means Chris stole the cookie. Question 4. In a certain year, January had exactly 4 Tuesdays and 4 Saturdays. So the month of January has a total of 31 days. And 28 of those days, since 31 is bigger than 28, that means there are 4 complete weeks in January. And by complete, I mean Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the way to Sunday. So, since there are 4 complete weeks means that there are 28 days in these weeks. That means there are 3 leftover days. Now, the problem states that January had exactly 4 Tuesdays and 4 Saturdays. So these 4 Tuesdays and 4 Saturdays come from these 4 complete weeks. So if I'm just gonna write this out real quick. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now we are looking for these 3 days, these 3 leftover days. Now, if there are exactly 4 Tuesdays and 4 Saturdays, then that means that Tuesday and Saturday cannot be one of these 3 leftover days. And these leftover days also have to be right next to each other because, yeah. So that leaves us with Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, which are our leftover days. So, since these 3 days come after the 4 complete weeks, that means that the Wednesday will be the 29th, Thursday will be the 30th, and Friday will be the 31st. Now, we want to find out what day January 1st was, and conveniently, if we just subtract 4 exact weeks, for 28 days from 29, which is a Wednesday, then we get the date 1. So that means that January 1st was a Wednesday. Last question. Okay. So we want to find the probability that Ephraim has the same number of heads as Keiko. So let's just first let Kn be the probability that Keiko gets ahead. That Keiko head. And let's let En be the probability that Ephraim gets ahead. And then we're going to let P be the total probability. Or, well, not total, but let's let P be the probability that Keiko, both Keiko and Ephraim gets heads. Well, actually, same number of heads. So, our probability, which is what we want, same number of heads, will be equal to the probability of Keiko getting 0 heads times the probability of Ephraim getting 0 heads plus the probability of Keiko getting 1 head times the probability of Ephraim getting 1 head plus the probability of Keiko getting 2 heads and Ephraim also getting 2. So now we just have to calculate all of these probabilities. So the probability of Keiko getting 0 heads is 1/2 because he only has 1 penny. So if he doesn't get a head, then he gets a tail. Okay. And then we want to find the probability of Ephraim getting 0 heads will be 1/2 times 1/2 since he has 2 pennies. And then we add that with the probability of Keiko getting 1 head, which is also 1/2, times the probability of Ephraim getting 1 head. And that will be 1/2 times 1/2 times 2, because he can either flip it first heads and then tails, or first tails and then heads. So he has 2 options. That's why you have to multiply 2. And then for our last case, Keiko only has 1 penny, so he can't flip 2 heads. Now you just have to multiply all of these together. 1/2 times 1/4 plus 1/2 times 1/2. That is just equal to 1/8 plus 1/4, which is equal to 3/8. And that is our answer.